Hey, we're back for another episode of Building the Nantahala Retreat. Today we're going to start with the porch railings, the woodworking part of it. And then on the next episode, we're going to be doing the stainless steel cable railings. So make sure to check back for that video as well. Got Big and Rich out here with us working, and look at this. It's not just a show, that's for real.
No, nobody's home either.
Our first order of business is to do this giant collar tie or rafter tie from here to here so that we can finish the ceiling, get the scaffolding gone. We're going to be using these 6x6 pressure treated posts, which are super heavy, unfortunately, and they will bolt to the side of our rafter here and butt into each of these posts. And then we'll have a custom metal gusset that goes across because these are going to be in tension so they won't pull from the posts. There's my 12-foot mark, and to help us hold this 6x6, which is heavy, I'm going to attach a block like that to the post on each side so it can just kind of sit there until we fasten it in. It's important to remember that the force being applied to this is actually tension. That means it's getting pulled, and that's why we need to lap across these vertical 6x6 posts with a plate to connect all this together. Now, we've done collar ties or rafter ties out of all kinds of things since it's tension, including just heavy-duty stainless cables. And again, the whole need for a rafter tie or a collar tie is to keep the walls from spreading from the force of the rafters without needing a post in the center and a load-bearing ridge.
Sometimes it's pretty sad when you come to work on Monday morning. You know, you think about all the stuff you got to do all week. It's gonna be hot and not very fun. But anyway, just to get a little Monday morning satisfaction, I'm starting out with the hand plane. Just to get my Monday started right. You know what I mean? I think you do.
Yeah.
Use a little satisfaction up here, bub.
What do you need? Satisfaction? Mm-hmm. You know, they make those with power.
Yeah.
See, it's got that groove. That's for putting it on the corner of a post like that.
You know Jamie don't like power tools like that.
Satisfaction. That is grandpa. That is my grandpa's probably.
Yeah,
Hey.
You can poo-poo it all you like. You're not going to change my mind about my satisfaction that I get from my hand plane. But one of those posts had a big knot in it. If I could just borrow your electric planer for that one, that'd be good. Okay.
With our collar tie now installed, we could go ahead and finish up this porch ceiling by installing the two panels that needed to notch around the ends of this collar tie. We started by attaching a small nailer to the side of the collar tie at the pitch of the roof, and then we were able to measure and notch these final panels and install them. And finally, we were able to cover the whole perimeter and all of our seams with our batten strips. This part of the process was way more time consuming than I was expecting, as high work often is. We had to use a combination of scaffolding on wheels and different size ladders to access the whole surface of both sides of this ceiling. You ready? Hey, if you want to see a little bit more of the scenery around here, which is awesome, check out Jono's Instagram called Wandering into Paradise. I thought he stole these off someone else's page because the pictures are so amazing. Check that out. It's really fun to look at what he's doing.
I'm starting to put in the wood framework for this cable rail system, and I'm starting by applying this 2x6 to the house because I have a cable termination against the house. And the reason for the 2x6 is that the center line of this is really close to the edge of my corner board, and I don't know how big my little attaching like brackets and turnbuckles are, and there's a chance that they'll be like partially hanging off the corner board. That could really be a problem. So I want some really good solid wood to anchor into, but it also is required that I anchor this really well to the house if I'm going to pull a lot of tension on it, which I will when the cables are tightened. So I'm putting 4-inch screws in this right now to hold it, and actually I'm going to run a few 6-inch screws to be sure that I get through all these layers of finished material and sheeting all the way directly into the framing. Pretty much every time I'm cutting one of these top caps, in between two 6x6s, I leave it a little bit long the first time. The reason is these are hardly ever square to your end cut, and that gives me a real tight fit where I can just jam it in, make a little scribe to get the angle just right, and then make a little trim and it should drop right in. If you cut it just right the first time, well, you make your trim and then it's too short. So, I don't know.
Yeah, Jaime wants to tell you all the details, so here's another one. You got it.
I appreciate that. I'm gonna let you do it this time. Man, are you trying to trick me or something? Alright, you know the deal. We're measuring for the top cap. This is the way to do it. You measure one side, so we're like 96 3/4.
Hey, Shooter McGavin.
What?
We're filming.
This side is 97. So they measure different by quarter. Just in a difference of 5 inches, 6 inches.
Okay, that's what he wanted to say. You gotta
Okay.
measure both sides.
So you gotta cut it the longer number, and then it won't go in. That's the plan.
We're gonna keep all this too, I promise.
This is a perfect example of the out of square post right here. It's about 1/4. I'm just gonna take my pencil here and scribe it. I don't make any attempt really to measure the angles or anything like that. I never do. I just cut it a little long, make the scribe, make the cut, boom, slam it in.
Here's a look at one section of our woodwork done ready for cable railing, minus the stain. And you have to put these intermediate posts about every 5 feet, and the cables will run through there, and this will keep the cables from spreading. You can't run cables on a 10-foot span because in the middle, they'll be too flimsy, like you could spread them apart with your hands and jump through. The framework of these rails is framework, but it's also finish work because it's the finished material installed here. So we're making an effort to make good, clean cuts, make sure everything fits tight, and hide fasteners wherever we can.
You can have this done just by yourself before I even get to help you.
Yeah, man, you bet. I don't know why you would get in the way of that. Just go do something else. Here's something to think about. You know, wood cups a certain direction when it dries. And I'll show you right here. This is the common way that a board would cup. You can see the grain rings. The tree would have been here. And
Right
typically the way that this is cupped, you can see how it rocks there. That is what you would expect a board to do that dried in some really, I don't know, controlled
Ideal conditions.
Yeah, some
circulated air.
circumstances where there's no sunlight, you know, to bake one side if it was just left somewhere. So anyway, ideally you'd like to orient your board so that it's crowned like this so water would roll off.
For these pieces.
Yeah, otherwise, that's okay. Otherwise, you can imagine that if the board cupped this way, well, it's like a little dish and water would like stay here and it would like be bad for your wood, right? But you can't always get what you want. You can't have your cake and eat it too, whatever that means. I don't even know what that means. But anyway, what I'm doing here is orienting these best face up.
Yep.
Because there are defects and knots and things that I need to prioritize best face.
Yep.
I cannot always.
That guy.
And I'll tell you what though, some of these boards are cut dead center.
What
So
does that mean?
which way is it? Well, dead center of the tree.
Okay.
So they don't
center
have,
cut board.
they're not biased to one direction.
So
you don't know what
That's good, actually.
well, it's good in some ways, but actually the center piece of the tree is not.
I'm starting to feel like this needs
It's
to go on our
really-
other channel.
It's kind of complicated. It's really kind of complicated. The center cut is actually not a very good piece of wood. It's not like the fillet or nothing like that, okay? You want the outer third or the outer, you know, little bit right there. So that's kind of a deep subject, and I don't really know all the answers to it, but I do know some things about it. And you don't want center cut as much as possible. God, this is getting bad. Here's what I would do. If it's my place, like this is not my house, but if it was, I would put it best face up. I would let it sit out here for a year, and then I would sand these things flat and restain them. They might cut both directions. I mean, not the same board, but,
Right.
you know.
Some would cup one way.
Some would go one side, and if I was really worried about it, I would sand a little bevel on both sides so that I knew it would pitch off, right?
And
I
these
mean-
are KDAT, kiln dried after treatment.
Yeah, they're already dry.
already
They're not
dry.
going to shrink and warp up, and in the width of a 2x6, it's probably not going to do anything too drastic. But I've seen crazy things happen,
I have too.
so who
All right.
knows? I don't know if we. I don't really know if this helped any at all.
It's not helping me.
Yeah.
I gotta edit this crap.
Okay, sorry.
Wonder why they call it the Smoky Mountains, Jay. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Up next, Jason and I set in to get a coat of stain on all these posts and rails before we install the cables, and that'll save us a lot of time and heartache. We're using an oil-based, semi-transparent stain, and the color is chestnut. It's a color from Sherwin-Williams, and I really like using stain on these pressure-treated posts because if you use paint, it will just sit on the surface, versus stain actually soaks into the material and won't flake off. If you try to paint a pressure-treated post, almost no matter how long you let it sit out and dry, There will be some amount of moisture in there if it's still during the construction phase, and the paint will peel off later, so I like the stain. A pro tip here, if you're going to do some staining, is to buy a brush that's specifically made for stain. That's what we're using, and they will hold a lot more stain than a paintbrush that's made for paint and speed up your process. You want some goggles?
It's Monday, isn't it? Oh my gosh.
You know what the most impressive thing is that we're doing right now?
What's that?
We're actually like cutting in this mop.
You don't look at mine too close, then, because I don't know what you call what I did.
I think it's working fine.
You think?
Yeah.
I don't know. Good thing it's high up in the air.
I didn't finish the back of that post though.
Oh, like, yo, Schwitzy.
Let's cut it in. This better be a good one.
Wow. That's pretty
I
impressive.
can't even see what I'm doing either.
Perfect.
I can't see anything.
Mr. Homeowner, if you're watching this, I apologize.
I mean, it looks perfect. I could see it completely. I saw everything.
Another thing we're getting into today is caulking the gap between the window trim and the vinyl window itself. We left an 1/8 of an inch gap for sealant, and that's what I'm doing. Using this big stretch. This is a pre-mixed color that they have, and the color name is called Slate Gray, and it actually matches this vinyl window just about perfectly, and it actually goes with our paint color too, so it's pretty good. It is really important to use a high quality sealant anywhere on the exterior of your home, because that is what is going to keep the water out, especially where you're required to leave gaps like around windows and on corner boards and things like that. The sealant is actually what keeps the water out. So we love to use this big stretch. I've used it for years and years. I think it is the best quality sealant out there. We've tried every other brand you can imagine, and this is what we keep coming back to.
You know what it says, right?
Oh, I know what it says. I think they know what it says too.
You are aware of what it says, and you got that big old smile on your
Wait, it's
face.
talking about using sealant.
Of course.
Yeah.
It doesn't say love
it
your
says-
sealant, though.
No.
It says caulking.
Hey, thanks for building with us today. We really appreciate it. If you've enjoyed this video or found it entertaining, please remember to subscribe, give us a thumbs up. Also check out our secondary channel, the Building Knowledge channel, where I let Jaime just talk and I don't cut him off. So there'll be lots of interesting stuff coming up there in the future. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks.
So I read all the comments on our videos and stuff. A lot of people are talking about you. You know that?
Is that,
Do you
is
read
that
them?
a good, is that a good or bad thing?
I don't know. This one guy says, "Damn, Jason is looking cut." I think that means like muscular.
Yeah?
I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
Wow, that's
So
look at you, bud. Hey,
Hey, I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, nobody's ever said that about me in my whole life.
I wonder why.